AFTERSHOCK started last year because the Guelph Black Heritage Society received a, sorry, sorry. The Guelph Black Heritage Society received a grant from the government for them to make the building more accessible. And then they decided to have the theme of that year be groundbreaking. So they had a series of events around the theme of groundbreaking. They had an inventors event focused on Black people for Black History Month. Yes. So then they came to me with this theme, and then we wanted to give the Black youth of Southern Ontario anything local enough for us to be able to share their art in a respectable manner. We wanted to give them a platform and like an opportunity for Black youths to build their artistic resumes or CVs, because that's something that is a requirement and it's very difficult to do to get into the art industry. So that's why AFTERSHOCK started, because once the ground breaks, there's an aftershock. So I think Breonna has a few people we'd like to thank.
Yeah, so I'd like to extend a thank you to all our collaborators and sponsors tonight as well. So first and foremost, the Guelph Black Heritage Society, the Guelph Black Students Association, the University of Guelph Cultural and Diversity Office, the Student Experience Department, the Experiential Learning Hub, the Office of Diversity and Human Rights. And we'd also like to extend a big thank you to the 10C Shared Space. 10C will be having some selected pieces on display at their window this month for the month of February, and some of them will include the pieces from tonight as well. So it's really exciting, and we'd like to thank all our collaborators and sponsors. Thank you so much. And now I will pass it on to actually I'm passing it back to myself for the artist presentations. Okay. All right, and so now we're going to go into the artist presentations, starting out with Mechaela Alfonso.
Hi guys, I'm Mechaela Alfonso, third year undergraduate at the University of Guelph studying psychology and theater as my minor. I decided to submit poetry. I don't necessarily consider myself much of an artist. I consider myself more of a poet on my free time. I wrote these 3 poems, All the Things That Make You You, 2017, and Loneliness. 2017 and Loneliness were projects that I had for my grade 12 creative writing class that I was very proud of. It was my final project. And I scored a really high grade on that. And All the Things That Make You You is a newer project that I'm working on right now, trying to focus more on positive poetry versus the darker poetry that I usually write. Yes, I don't really have much more to say. Other than I started with poetry as an outlet for myself, for expressing a lot of negative emotions that I was feeling that I didn't really feel like I had an outlet from before. And I noticed that I've gotten into a really, really big writer's block once I found that my life was getting better. And I kind of was sad because I missed writing. I wasn't able to write unless I found I was not in a good space. So for the past year or 2 years, I have been trying a lot harder to write positively. And one of the things that has started my writing positively is when I got into my current relationship now. And that is what All the Things That Make You You poem is about.
Thank you so much for sharing, Mechaela. The next person on my list is Zaria Armstrong. So I will pass it on to her, and she will be explaining a bit of her pieces that she submitted as well.
Hello, everyone. My name is Zaria Armstrong. I'm 22 years old, and I'm from Oakville, Ontario. I recently graduated from the University of Guelph with a degree in psychology and a minor in studio art. I've always loved doing art, but it wasn't until I started my art minor where I began to take art more seriously. And personally, I love to draw, so I usually work in mediums like charcoal, pastel, and graphite. But today, I'll be showing you 3 art pieces of mine that I created this past year. I find I like to create art about things that I know, people inspire me, and sometimes about how I'm feeling at the time. So in these pieces, you should be able to see that. Um, I hope you enjoy them, and I hope you understand the messages I was trying to convey. Thank you.
Thanks so much for sharing. I'm going to pass it on to Chawntay Barrett.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me? Okay, so my name is Chawntay Barrett. I recently graduated from the University of Guelph. I studied biology with a minor in studio art. And the pieces I submitted are recent pieces that I, in the past year, started learning how to do digital illustration. So all of these pieces are a digital format. The mediums that I usually like to work on are oil on canvas mixed with acrylic, and then also now digital illustration. All of my pieces celebrate, I submitted to this show, celebrate Black women, as I am one, and I feel like we deserve celebration and representation in artistic media. So my first piece is titled Love Your Brown Skin. And then the second one is a public service announcement, and it just addresses some of the issues that comparing yourself to others on social media may cause. And then the final piece is Saturn Woman. Hope you guys enjoy them.
Thank you so much for sharing with us. I'm going to pass it on to Emmanuel Chukwu now.
Hey guys, my name is Emmanuel Chukwu. I was born and raised in Nigeria. Went to New York 2011. I was 14, and I'm a fourth year student at the University of Guelph studying studio art major, marketing minor. And the thing that inspires my artworks are I use my art as a medium to connect to people. And I usually draw images that move me in certain ways. So the first one is Kobe Bryant. I drew that after he passed. And the second one is Chadwick Boseman, who passed last, I think, September, something like that. And the second one, Chadwick Boseman, was more of a performance. I saw it and started and finished in one sitting. It was probably like 6 hours or more like that. So it was like a performative act of after the day he died, the day before, the next day. It really got to me. So I don't usually finish art in one sitting, but it was also performative as it was a representational where I just sat and started and finished in one sitting. And then the last one, the third one, is Untitled. I'm contemplating naming the title Doomsday. This was my final for my first year painting class, where we had to make the canvas from scratch. Literally make the wood from scratch, stretch the canvas, put gesso on it, and then wait for it to dry and then paint on it. And this painting, pretty much, I took in between 3 years, 2 years in between to finish it. And I finished it last year for the boarding house auction, I think so. And it's more like, an image that spoke to me, and I imagine it as like we have to make a better world for the kids, or whatever we're doing doesn't mean anything. And that's pretty much it. I don't know what else to say about myself.
Thank you so much for sharing. I really appreciate all your insight that you shared with us as well. And next on my list is Julianna Chung.
Hi everyone, my name is Julianna and I'm from the beautiful Caribbean island of Jamaica. I'm 20, I want to know if you guys can you guys hear me? Okay, good. I'm a fourth year student at the University of Guelph doing a double major in marketing management and accounting. So before the summer of 2020, I would have never imagined that I would become a visual or graphic designing artist. I first started when the Black Lives Matter movement was prominent and the protests were rampant around the world as many were robbed of their lives. So with these pieces, I hope to convey meaning and purpose and showcase that Black is beautiful and that we matter today, tomorrow, and forever. So for my first artwork displayed here today, it was created in honor of the late Breonna Taylor, who, as you all may know, was a victim of police brutality and a violation of the rights of African Americans. So this art piece depicts the joy of a young Black female and a cheerful persona that was brutally robbed of her life in the comfort of her own home. My second art piece here today is one that's become very popular and was actually commissioned by one of my good friends that I met here at University of Guelph, Elena Baker. I chose this portrait to be displayed today because Elena represents a beautiful brown-skinned woman that is from the island of the Bahamas. And her afro symbolizes Black pride, which can be compared to the mane of a lion. Strength, individuality, beauty, and purpose. And growing up, we are subjected to fit into society's version of beauty, and we're not taught to appreciate ourselves. So this is just to show that from the curls on our head to the curves in our hips, we are all beautiful. My third art piece here today is entitled I Am Not a Threat, and it's meant to speak volumes. This art depicts a beautiful Black woman with tape over her mouth, showing the countless times in which we are all silenced by our oppressors. So being Black is beautiful, but can unfortunately be considered criminal. And too often Black individuals have to constantly live in fear. And by just leaving their home or going to bed, they're in danger. And so this portrait is meant to encourage us as Black individuals to rise up, stand up for ourselves and make our voices heard. And because our opinions are just as valid and we should no longer be silenced. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Julianna, for sharing with us. I will now be passing it on to Judy to introduce the other artist.
Hello, so our next artist is Ashanti English, and her artist discussion will be spoken by Alexa.
Hey everyone, so I will be reading on Ashanti's behalf. My name is Ashanti English, and I am a grade 12 student at St. John Bosco Secondary School in Guelph, Ontario. I take a wide variety of courses and use my artistic capabilities in all subject areas. I am quiet and conscientious. I value family and friendships. I love fashion and recently started to use my creative talents to sew a few items that I was able to gift to close friends. Finally, I enjoy being creative with hair and makeup. I guess you could call that living art. I am inspired by music, all types of music in different ways. However, I am most inspired by the people that I choose to surround me. I seek out relationships that are positive and that make me happy. I have a casual relationship with art. At times, it fills my boredom, and at other times, it can be an escape or a distraction. I submitted this piece for a project in grade 10 that required me to portray an emotion. Looking back, the emotions that came through were sadness and anger, likely inspired by personal circumstances and the world we live in. There is hidden sadness and unexpressed anger. The red and black brushstrokes crossing and creating a pattern of predictable sadness and anger. Head down, there is no face or voice to the sadness and anger, but the image speaks volumes. There is a lot of strength in this girl, and she will find her voice. That's from Ashanti English.
Hello, sorry, I was having some technical difficulties. So the next presenter will be Lola Oyefeso. So I'd love to hear from you.
Hi everyone, my name is Lola Oyefeso and I'm a senior in high school. Art has always been a passion of mine and I truly love it and it's a great outlet for me. When it comes to my subject matter, I am heavily influenced by personal reflections, world events, and more predominantly my culture. I'm Nigerian and I love to celebrate and express my culture through my pieces. Nigeria was the main focus of my pieces in the art show today. So this is a series and my series is called Agbara Loju, and that is the Yoruba translation of Faceless Strength. This is an interpretation of the NSARS protest that occurred in October and the overall social and political unrest that occurred in Nigeria. As in Nigeria, it was heartbreaking to watch and hear of the innocent people being killed and injured because they were simply fighting for their basic human rights. I wanted to depict my pride and respect for the Nigerian youth that initiated this movement. The backgrounds of two of the paintings are Ankara print. Ankara fabrics are bold and fierce, therefore acting as a mirror of people's courage in this fight. The women in my paintings remain anonymous, representing the unity of Nigerians in the protests. They hold their heads high as they fight. And the third painting is a tribute to the peaceful protesters whose lives were taken. The subject of the piece turns her face as she and as we mourn for the lives that were taken. Last year, we witnessed a shift, an uprising, and a reform. We witnessed Agbara Loju. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. So the next artist that we will be presenting is Samaroo. And once again, her artist presentation will be presented by Alexis.
Thanks, Judy. My name is Sanaa Samaroo, and I'm 17 years old, and I go to St. John Bosco High School in Guelph, Ontario. I have always had a connection with art since I was young and always found it to be very calming for me and a great outlet in life. Art is the way I like to express myself, and I find lots of joy in it. I like to challenge myself with different artwork so I can continue to grow as an artist. I love being creative, and art is the best way for me to be that way. My art piece is titled Happy Tears, which I painted 2 years ago when I was 15. I painted it in a time when my life went through a good change from some struggles, and it felt good. My sad tears turned into happy tears.
Hello. So thank you to Sanaa Samaroo. Very beautiful words. So the next artist presenting will be Naomi VanArragon.
Hi, my name is Naomi. I'm 18 years old and I'm from Guelph. I've always loved art and painting in any medium. I'm more known to paint like landscapes and nature, but more recently I've been working on portraits. I recently discovered my love for pencil crayons, and art has really helped me express many emotions and feelings, as well as discover more about myself. And I chose to draw Angela Davis for my submission. It's her portrait, and I was really inspired by her. As a biracial woman myself, I've really struggled with self-identity, and her story really moved me. She was a woman who fought for Black rights, LGBTQ plus rights, as well as feminism and prison abolishment. So she proves to be like a strong leader, and she inspires me pretty much every single day. She's also she's definitely influenced Black history, in my opinion. And so I have been drawing and painting and expressing the things that they kind of left behind for us to really take care of.
Thank you for your words. The next presenter will be Alton Wilmo. I have to note that in the art gallery, because of the limits of the website, we weren't able to post the entire clip, well, the entire movie that you will see a clip of shortly. However, there is a link to the Google Drive where you should be able to see the whole video. So yes, I'll just hand it over to Alton Wilmo.
Hi there, my name is Alton. I am a theater artist, and then with COVID, I ended up looking into film and photography as well. These are photos that I took at the time of the Capitol fiasco and the raids. And at the time, I wasn't consciously aware of necessarily what I was capturing. It was my friend Kasha Price and I were out. She's the one who took the photos. We were out just playing around with our cameras, taking a bunch of different photos. And it wasn't until afterwards, when I was looking at the photos in post, it was my mom who said, "You look so tired." And I was like, "Mom, but I like the photos." And she was like, "But you look so tired." And what I discovered from reflecting on the experiences, I think over the past 6 months, I've been doing a lot of anti-racism work as a consultant, and it's exhausting. It is exhausting. And when the Capitol fiasco happened, I just shut down. I guess I was so tired. So tired of racism. And so these photos, I ended up being a portrait that capture that an expression, I think, of that exhaustion of looking towards a place that's continually better for those that come after us, but at the same time being overwhelmed by it ourselves. And so I hope that these photographs are able to inspire other Black folk to look outside of our relation to white people when we're thinking about our story. We existed before slavery, we still existed during slavery, and we've been existing after slavery, and that's incredibly important. The video that Judy mentioned that they're paired with is a short film called "I'm With You, Not With You." It's a piece of choreography, a dance film that I made with Sierra Holder. And the film follows the same concept where Sierra and I wanted to capture a story of Black folk that had nothing to do with racism, and was a chance to, we were scrolling through Netflix and we said, man, we love the movie Call Me By Your Name. It's like a coming of age love story. And we were like, if I want to see other Black folk in these kinds of stories, in a simple love story, a simple coming of age story, it doesn't exist. We were unable to find it on the streaming services that we have, where it was just two Black folk without the story being about racism. And although it's important to acknowledge that that is a large part of our programming, we are so much more than that. I think we are human beings with our own culture. And so I hope that these photos mixed with this short film can inspire other Black folk to look outside of racism when looking for stories of themselves. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing, Alton. So we will be taking a brief intermission. So this would be a great opportunity to explore the gallery Aftershock for yourself. We will be posting the link.
I'm sorry, Judy. I'm so sorry to cut you off. I do have a short clip of Alton's video that I'd like to share before we do the intermission. So please enjoy the 30-second clip, and then we will take a quick break. Thank you. Okay, Judy, I'll pass it back to you.
Okay, I'm so sorry for the misunderstanding. But now we will be taking a brief intermission for 10 minutes.
All right, hello everyone. So we hope you had an opportunity to take a look at our virtual gallery. So my name is Alexis Charles. I am the coordinator of cultural diversity programs at the University of Guelph and one of the organizers for this event. And we are just so happy and thrilled with our participants and with the audience members who came here today. For our artists, we really appreciate your beautiful words that you shared with us, your creation, your passion, the journey that you've been taking to get to where you are today. I was so moved when you were speaking, and I'm sure most of our audience members would say that as well. So thank you for sharing. Before we continue, I do want to mention one more thank you that was missed at the beginning, and that's to the Community Engaged Scholarship Institute, so CESI. Thank you for providing that 10C space for us to display some of the contributions from tonight at the 10C gallery. So thank you for that. So tonight we are going to proceed with a question and answer period. So audience, you have an opportunity to ask our artists some questions regarding their art, regarding their processes. So if you have any questions for our artists, please place it in the chat and I will read it aloud. And while we are waiting for audience members to submit their questions, I do have one that is for just anyone who wants to take the floor. So this is open to all artists. We just wanted to know, why did you choose to display your work in AFTERSHOCK, or why did you choose to participate in this event? So this is open to any of the artists. Feel free to unmute yourself and answer.
I can go first.
Mechaela?
Yes. Sorry, I just had like a brain fart. What was the question?
That's okay. No problem at all. So what is the reason you decided to share your art through AFTERSHOCK?
Okay. I shared my poetry. I've always dreamed of having my own poetry book, either through self-publishing or like going through a publishing company. But I had the big issue of confidence block. I think I've only let like 3 people in my entire life see my poems. So I thought that submitting it to this art show would be able to help me get out of my box a little bit and get comfortable with the idea of people seeing my work. Especially if I want to write a book that is very deep and personal, I have to be used to people knowing me personally. So it was a little bit of a stepping stone for me.
Awesome, thank you, Mechaela. All right, I see Alton, your hand is up. You can go ahead. So what is the reason you decided to share your art through AFTERSHOCK?
Oh yeah, for sure. I was just submitting the like clapping emoji.
Oh!
But I can answer.
Awesome.
I decided to submit my work. I think because this is my first time submitting a photograph anywhere, but I something that I've only started to get into with the lockdown and pandemic. And so when I saw the opportunity, I really enjoyed the photography, and the photos I was kind of proud of. They were like my first kind of like, I did something. So it was kind of a nice like, oh, well, let's see what happens kind of thing. And it was, I felt encouraged and comfortable and confident with it being sort of a group of Black artists and centered around Black artists. It was just sort of an entry point, and that made it a little bit easier.
Definitely. Thank you, Alton. Did anyone else have an answer to that question?
Yeah, I'll answer.
Thanks, Emmanuel.
I've always, someone told me to always take advantage of the good opportunity in the community. And knowing from my experience being alone in the country multiple times, I know that having a community behind you. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Oh yeah, having a community behind you is a great thing. And I really appreciate you guys giving us this opportunity to showcase our work and get something out of it as well. So I really appreciate this. That's why I submitted my work. Thank you.
Thank you, Emmanuel. Yes, we're hearing these common themes of community and togetherness, and it's really speaking to how necessary it is to create these spaces for our Black people and our Black artists, definitely. Did anyone else have an answer to this question? Okay, so we have another question from the DBHS actually. So where do you see your art going in 2021? Do you think you're going to take any new steps? Will your art be evolving in any way? And again, this is open to any of the artists to answer.
For me personally, I think I just want to continue to try to get better at my art. I have an expectation for myself, being a perfectionist, to have everything perfect. And I know it can't be perfect, but I kind of want to push myself to see how far I can go as a personal challenge. And then whenever I get time, I want to start going into visual art as well, either drawing or painting, because that's something that I love to do. It just hasn't been the talent that I decided to hone in on and practice at. So if I do get more free time, I would definitely love to start doing that.
Excellent, thank you. Zaria, I see your hand up.
Yeah, so in 2021, I see my art going into digital art. I really want to work with that. So hopefully if I can practice and get better with that, working with software instead of just using tools, that's what I want to do.
Amazing, thank you, Zaria. Judy, I see your hand up.
Hello. Well, I'm not one of the artists, but I just wanted to say in 2021, I know it's very premature, but I hope that we get to do this again, because I feel like where my heart lies in this project is giving you guys confidence to like present your art. For me, it's baby steps, but I feel like once you get out there, then you realize there's nothing to fear. You know, it's you sharing your love, your heart, your passion, your thoughts to the world. And I like hearing what you guys have to say. So I hope to see you guys again.
And so do I. Thank you, Judy. Okay, so we have another question. What inspired your work? What inspired your work?
Already answered. Okay, I can go for that one.
Awesome. Thanks, Julianna.
For me, as I mentioned earlier, it was really the Black Lives Matter protesting that really made me want to create art to speak and portray my expression from that time. I didn't know that I could do certain drawings. Like before, I used to just sketch and do stuff, but then I switched to digital illustrations, and I posted one with just a guy with his fist up and a bunch of words that I can't breathe surrounding it. And I got so much feedback. People were posting it everywhere, and it just became so big. And I was very inspired by that. And it motivated me to do more. And yeah, that's me.
Excellent. Thank you, Julianna. And any other artists want to speak to their inspiration for their work? Zaria.
What inspires me, I think, is my own experiences. So being a Black girl, I've experienced a lot of certain discriminations, and like also, for example, the picture of my sister that I drew. Also just putting Black women and Black people in the limelight when it's usually not always seen in different mediums. So that's what inspires me, my own experiences of being a Black female, and yeah.
Thank you, Zaria. Okay, so we have another question from the audience. Was there a specific moment that you knew art was something you wanted to pursue more seriously? All right, Mechaela, go for it.
I've always kind of been writing, like ever since I was a child. Like I would write stories about me and my friends in like first grade, second grade, things like that. But I knew I definitely wanted to get into poetry more.
Oh, I have thing going on from 7 to 8:30, so I'll see you then.
Apologies, Mechaela. So sorry. I apologize.
Okay. I knew I definitely wanted to get into poetry more in the 6th grade. We had like a little art exhibit in my classroom and I submitted a poem that I wrote. And it got a lot of attention. And my teacher gassed me a lot. So I was like, oh, wow, maybe like I should start doing this a little bit more. And then my mom read it and then she cried. Like she usually cries for a lot of things, but she cried when she read my poem. And I remember it so specifically because she was like, she shared it on Facebook and told all her friends like, oh, my baby's so talented. And like, it really gassed my 6-year-old brain. So I was like, okay, I definitely need to start like practicing this a little bit more.
That's amazing. Thank you, Mechaela. That's a lovely story. Anyone else? Was there a specific moment when you knew that art was something you wanted to pursue more seriously?
I'd like to answer a little bit of a question off of that. I think I was very lucky. My mom is a concert pianist, so from little baby me, I knew that was an option and wanted to do. I didn't really ever see any other option, which I'm very thankful for. But I just with this particular room, I wanted to say a moment I had when I knew that I wanted to share work that was personal and kind of along the lines of what I'm doing now. I had seen a production called Schoolgirls, or The African Mean Girls, and it's a play about a group of schoolgirls in Africa, and it deals with like shadeism and colorism. When I saw the play, I went with my friend Chloe, and almost the entire audience was Black. And I had been working a little bit before that. I had gone to school for theater and stuff, but being in a room full of Black people listening to like a Black story, it was just so monumental. And I remember walking out of there and feeling like this sense of community and communal understanding and growth and connection. And there was a specific moment where, it sounds so like cheesy and soapy, but there was a moment when I was walking out and there was a mother and she was standing with her 2 children, and just the 2 children, their faces, there were 2 little dark-skinned girls, and you could just see how, like, these girls were only 8, I think, like 8, 9, like they're very young, but just the profound effect that it had. And it was a moment of like, wow, this is definitely going to change and shape their worldview and life. And I recognized in that moment that I think I have the talent to do the same, the gift to do the same. And that's sort of what I will pursue and want to pursue.
Wow. Y'all are having me tearing up right now. Like, these are just such beautiful stories, but I'll try to hold it together. Thank you, Alton, for that. Okay, so I'll move on to the next question. What do you find is the most challenging aspect of creating your art? Most challenging aspect.
I'll answer.
Great, thank you.
For me, I find that the most challenging aspect of creating is probably finding the time and the motivation to actually start and just do it. Once I start a piece, I'm in the zone and I'm doing it, and I'm probably gonna do it for like 12 hours a day, but it's that in-between time when, I need to start a new painting and I'm just like not doing it. And then also just acquiring the materials and stuff, because I like to work with oil paint and that's expensive. So when I run out, I'm like, well, Until next time.
Thanks, Chawntay. And I'm seeing a lot of nods from the audience, from the artists rather. So I feel like a lot of people are resonating with that. Thank you. Okay, anyone else? The most challenging aspect of creating your art? Zaria.
I think I relate to a lot of things Chani said, but I think just not giving up, persevering, even when you see something and just like, maybe I'm not really liking this or what I'm doing right now, but then just keeping going through the motions, and eventually you come to the piece that you like and love. So
Amazing, thank you. Okay, next question. In your opinion or experience, what or where do you feel is the biggest adversity faced by Black youth, and how do you see your talent addressing this? Or how do you feel we can overcome it? So a bit of a big question, I'll repeat it. In your opinion or experience, what or where do you feel is the biggest adversity faced by Black youth, and how do you see your talent addressing this? Or how do you feel we can overcome it? Mechaela, is that hand for this question? Awesome. Yes, go for it.
In my experience, I think that probably some of the biggest challenges from what I'm seeing is that art is expected, at least from Black people, is expected to address the racism that we face or some aspect of our Blackness. And I don't find that people really want to consume art that doesn't talk about the struggle. Which is quite frustrating to me, because like as Elton was saying, like going through Netflix and finding a movie with Black characters that doesn't talk about racism is basically impossible. And that's not something that I want to be consuming on my everyday. Like I don't have the emotional energy to, if I want to watch someone who looks like me on screen, to have to deal with like slavery. I don't have the emotional energy to continuously do that all the time. So I think that probably the biggest struggle is breaking into a market where your art is seen as art and not necessarily defined by the color of your skin. With the poems that I write, a lot of it does have to do with my feelings about like the racism that you face, or colorism, or like feminist issues, things like that. But a lot of my poems are also about like family issues, or my relationship and how that's going, or mental health, things like that, like things that I feel like everyone can experience. And I really hope that if I do start putting this out in public, that people will be able to see my art for the art and not necessarily just for the color of my skin.
Thank you, Mechaela. So beautiful. Thank you. Naomi.
One of the difficulties that I've kind of like faced was, I guess, trying to like fit in, but also stand out at the same time. So to just find like some sort of like understanding and like relatability, but also trying to do something that like no one else has done before. That's been, I guess, kind of challenging.
Absolutely. Thank you, Naomi. All right. And for our final question, it seems like we have some aspiring artists in the audience. So what tips do you have for anyone who may want to get in touch, more in touch, with their artistic side? That question's for me as well.
I can start. Basically just go for it. I did not think I would be doing this today. And art can be anything. It can be visual art, literature, dance, anything. Just literally go for it. Don't stop trying. Like, still start creating something, and then it will become bigger and bigger. You'll get better at it. Like, even if you think you're not good enough, just try and it will become better, and just showcase it. And yeah, sorry.
No, absolutely. Thank you, Julianna. So just start. Any other thoughts on getting in touch with your artistic side?
I'll jump off that and say, find a way to hold yourself accountable. I know for me, like the just do it concept is so hard for me because I'm like laying in bed. I'm like, yo, but also there's all these other things that I also want to do. But it's like finding a way. Like for me, I bought the iPhone 12 just for the sole reason of it had a really good camera. And so now every time I pick up my phone, like for anything, I'm reminded of like, yo, you spent bare money on this phone. You better get outside and take some photos. Or similar, like finding so an opportunity like this, like even if you haven't done it before, finding an exhibition or a performance opportunity or something and just signing up for it, even if you have nothing, because then by the time it comes, you will have to have something, like something will happen. So find a way to hold yourself accountable.
Amazing. Thank you, Alton.
Yeah, I agree with what both of you just said. A good tip for me is when I have writer's block or creative block, I like to get on a page and write in all caps, just start, or like some like random quote that's like, I don't know, something funny or something like that'll like shock me into like getting out of my like block. Because I find that no matter what you write on a page, something will come after it. Even if you just write like something really, really silly, like over and over and over again, it's just to warm you up so you can start doing something. And I would also say, don't let the fear of like not being good enough or the fear of failure stop you from doing something. No one's gonna be like, I don't know, like Shakespeare the first time you start something out. Like you have to just go and practice and be proud of yourself, because even just opening up your laptop or getting like going out and buying a canvas is a step further than where you were just a second ago.
Thank you, Mechaela. And Zaria.
For me, I like to also just take breaks, because sometimes I tend to like stress myself out, you know, I get too overwhelmed. Oh, I need to do this, I need to do that. But sometimes I just, you know, hang out with the family, go do some other activity, like try to relax and come back to it in a better space when you're ready to. And that's what helps me.
My advice would be, if you started, find someone to imitate. So an artist that doesn't intimidate you, that will help you get over the hunch, or someone who is very similar to you that's doing something like beginning. So when you begin together, so there's a lot of videos on YouTube of people just starting. That will help you see someone doing something, and then it will inspire you to do the same.
Oh, thank you, Emmanuel. Was there anyone else who had any last minute thoughts about that question? I just wanted to say thank you to all the artists. I know for some of you, this is kind of your first time on a platform like this, so I appreciate you using your voice and showing your power by participating and by answering these questions. So thank you so much for that. So I'm just going to pass things on back to Judy and or Breonna for the next part of our evening.
All right, so I'm going to be talking about the voting process, but before that, I just wanted to say thank you everybody for sharing as well. I think that what everybody said and was able to share during the Q&A and the artist introductions was so insightful and so beautiful as well. And there's a lot of things that I resonated too with as an artist myself. And I think it's so important to take away that big theme again, just create, because just creating and putting yourself in and stop holding those roadblocks up will make sure that you're creating beautiful things. it's very evident tonight that you guys have just used that rhetoric in your own selves to just create, and you've created such beautiful things that you've been willing to share with us tonight. So I'm really, really thankful for everybody being here today, and I'm really thankful for everybody sharing so much insight with all of us. Yeah, so about the voting process, Wyndham Art Supplies has been so beautiful and generous with us. They will be giving a grand prize for the selected artists, including $100 gift certificate to the store and a display of their winning artwork in the window for a gallery from March 10th to April 10th. Artists will be highlighted in the Wyndham Art Supplies IG, Facebook, and website. And there's going to be a 3 weeks voting process via Google Forms. We'll put that form in the chat now. I can share that right here. And we do encourage you guys to go to the art spaces again, just so you're able to go through all the submissions. It will be in the Google Forms as well. But if you wanted to learn a little bit more, we have it in the art spaces. Just check it out and walk through the show again. And yeah, we'll be able to vote in the Google Forms. And I will pass it on to Judy as well for the conclusion.
Hey, hello everyone. So like share. We just want to spread your art to as many people as possible, because you never know who will see it, who will fall in love with it, who will like connect with it. You know what I mean? So share the Google form so that you can get as many people to vote for you, because that is a great grand prize. I wish I could enter so that I could also win a certificate, but oh well. Also, we ask that you share Aftershock itself so that people could see the other art displays. It's once again, it's in the link provided in the chat. Hopefully, there's also an email. I believe it is gbhs.aftershock@gmail.com. So if you have, like, if you forget the link or something, or you have a question, feel free to email that. Also, the GBHS is accepting donations at, I'll put the link in the chat. If one of the members of the Guelph Black Heritage Society would like to speak on the specific reason, I open the floor to them.
I can do that. Are you able to still see my screen? Yes, okay, awesome. So the Guelph Black Heritage Society is continuing to accept donations for their events. You know, all the events that we are providing this month are free of charge, which is not always the case, but because it is virtual, that is the case. But we are accepting donations, so we can continue, you know, putting through really important programming into the community. So if you are interested in donating, you can just go to guelphblackheritage.ca. There is a link in the menu to donate, and you can donate right there. Thank you.
So lastly, we wanted to thank all the artists and the organizers and the sponsors. I just wanted a special shout out to the artists, because it takes a lot of courage to submit your art to anything, I believe, because like there's a fear of getting judged and all that. We would never judge, but yeah, we're still very proud of you. The organizers, Alexis, for bringing us all together, connecting the university and the Guelph Black Heritage Society. I'd like to give a special thank you to Alicia, because she was so helpful in organizing everything. Yeah, round of applause. She was so helpful in organizing everything and laying it out so that it was easy for us to put this together. And Denise, the president, for once again, I don't know, presenting the idea. I don't know how to put it into words, but like she uplifts us all to help us create. Special thank you to my co-host Breonna. It's always fun presenting with you. Special thank you to everyone that attended. I know some of my friends are out there, and I'm really grateful for it, because it's scary creating anything. So I am so grateful for you all for attending and listening to what we have to say and viewing the artist's work. And once again, our collaborators and sponsors, the Guelph Black Heritage Society, the Guelph Black Students Association, the University of Guelph Cultural Diversity Office and Student Experience Department, the Experiential Learning Hub, the Office of Diversity and Human Rights, and CESI, and the 10C shared space, where selected pieces will be presented throughout the month. is there a way for us to tell them where 10C is so that they could walk by and view their art? Is there a post somewhere that we could post information?
Yeah, I'm just trying to think. We do have all the audience members' email addresses. So I think it would be a good idea. Yes, Denise did. Oh, so it is at 42 Carden Street, but I think we will send in a follow-up email with the Google form link, with the link to the art display, as well as the location of 10C. So that way, everybody will have kind of something to take away and refer to after today's meeting. But for reference now, 10C is at 42 Carden Street in downtown Guelph.
So that's all I have to say. Thank you for listening to me, and yes, enjoy your evening.
Thank you, everyone. Have a fantastic night.